5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, June the 14th, 2025, and I'm reporting live from my house. I apologize for being a little tardy this morning. We had some technical difficulties, but I guess it was a mix of technical and user error. Don't need to go into those details. If you can hear me okay, just put a comment that the sound is okie dokie, and I would appreciate that. And we'll go ahead and see who's on board and then dive in. Right away, Rex Blind with the very first comment and the first donation. Celebrate, celebrate. Rex brings a $1.99 super chat. Boom. Thank you, Rex. I appreciate that. I see Clairvoyant on board and asking, are you ready to kick off Credit Card Saturday? I sure am. Chad Pennycuff is here. Flying Ryan's here. Going to be a bit, but we'll see how long I can stay before family pulls me away. No problem. Mike Newland has arrived, and once again, Mike Newland is Santa Claus, donating 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. I guess that'd be double 10. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, Mike. I need to bring my camera down. Wow. We are off to a roaring start. Thank you so much, Mike. I really, really appreciate it. Engineers on board. Clairvoyant says the enthusiast Ozark community really appreciates this live entertainment trend you've created for Saturday. Great. Glad to hear it. And I will do my best to please that community. Chad says, so many memberships. Way to go. Rodrigo asks, what are the chances the new CSR business will be subject to 524? Chase doesn't change stuff a lot, so I'm guessing not, but that's just a guess. I really don't know. Kagito Ergo Sum says, thank you, Mike. I appreciate the gifted membership. Awesome. Glad we got that. Chad Pennycuff says we've got a Mr. Roz show today. So if you're wondering what the comments about Mr. Roz and the Ozark community are, today's going to be a short live stream. I have an obligation, so we got to keep this to about an hour and 15 minutes roughly. So I have a note on my screen that says log off at 10:45, drop dead 11 a.m. I have something I have to go to. So kind of a fun, kind of a short live stream. Don't take it too seriously. Kind of the low-class travel redemptions is what we're going to focus on today. The kind that overall wearing redneck might enjoy. Chad and Flying Ryan both say they can hear me. Thank you. Yuri G's on board. Thank you for your help there. Kagito, Sally Beery has arrived. Can't wait for Mr. Roz's content. Rem GB is on board. How you doing? As is D Green. Richard Blake says, I just got off the phone with Hilton. My Hilton Rose Hall in Jamaica canceled for next week. I was compensated 825,000 points. Still surprised. Whoa. You mean on top of the refund, it was 825 on top of that? That's like $4,000 worth of points. That's really not too bad. Wow. John R is also on board and drops a $2 super chat. Mr. Consistent. Thank you. Celebrate, celebrate, John. I really appreciate that. Anybody who makes a donation, 80% was going to be reinvested in my channel. 20% goes back to my family budget, since this is kind of like a part-time job. It's a good time to mention I've been having thoughts of like, what's a way that I can use some of my Dugroz Reports money for something kind of fun? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe like $200 of my YouTube earnings, but that would also help the community. You know, just like I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to upgrade from premium economy to business isn't really fun. What's something fun and unique? Like, I don't know, if there was a hotel out there that would like do your laundry for you for money. I'm not even thinking of a good idea. Let me know if you think of a good idea. Rex says Dugroz is Shaggy and Fred all in one. Yuri G is still recovering from player 2's chase shutdown, which I was able to overturn. Not sure what to do now. I still have 2 applications pending. Yikes! I'm sorry, Yuri. That's rough. Andrew says Buenos dias, Senor Rose. Good to see you, Andrew. Buenos dias indeed. Chad wants to hear about it. I guess it's on Discord. That's probably won't have time to get into it today, so that's a good place to discuss it. Meet Douglas opportunity. Hmm. Seabass says, morning all. Chad says, upgrade an app like Flightly Pro, lifetime for $199. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. I don't know how, it's not as fun as, me getting free laundry or toenail trimming or something, but definitely would be a good use. Thank you for that. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into our Dugroz data points. This is anything around the world of points, miles, cashback, travel, kind of just the stuff that I think my community is interested in. Before I do, though, 46 people on board. Please click thumbs up. That'll drive more people in. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing so. Here we go. Our first Dugroz data point of the day. Hilton Honors has removed late checkout from member benefits. This is hat tip to frequent miler. And just to clarify, what they mean is if you go online where there's like a chart listing the member benefits, it used to say late checkout was one of the member benefits if available. Now, we know about 2, 3, 4 months ago, Hilton added the ability to add a late checkout for a price for something they're going to charge anywhere from 30 to 80 bucks, maybe more, depends on the property. So the fact that this no longer shows as a benefit online kind of is making most of us think like you're just not going to get late checkout anymore, or they're going to bring it back as like a gold or platinum benefit only. It was never guaranteed, so this is more of a devaluation on paper than in practice. But yeah, officially Hilton will not offer you late checkout when available anymore, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot. Flying Ryan says, do glamping or one of those worker-free robot dinosaur hotels. I don't even know what a worker-free robot dinosaur hotel is. Glamping, yeah, I should probably book a under canvas. Is that what they're called with Hilton or something like that? That's right up Mr. Roz's alley, sleep in a tent. Manuel's here says, hello. Clairvoyant says, we would have to start fairly local to you, though, if the budget is $500. Matt would have been good. I'm not sure if you're referring to Matt Clausen or someone else. The fun for the community is your review. Oh, yeah, I got you there. So if I did something like Flightly Pro. Hilton is overrated in Chad's opinion. I take that very personally, Chad. Just kidding. All right, move on to the next data point here. This relates to American Express and booking travel in the American Express portal. So my wife has the Business Platinum card, and as you know, with the Business Platty, if you book any kind of business or first class flight, you get a 35% rebate. So it ends up being around 1.5 cents per point. If it's your selected airline, even if it's economy, you do as well. I actually misspoke here. I didn't misspeak. I showed the wrong slide. My bad. Here it is. This is on the Amex portal with the Business Platty. I had originally planned to drive to Minneapolis and then fly from Minneapolis to New York City this summer when we fly to Europe. But later, a direct flight from Des Moines came up that worked better. So I chose a. Oh, there's some guy mowing the lawn right across the street from me. I hope that doesn't create too much of a distraction. If it does, I apologize. Anyhow, derailed my train of thought, burst into flames. I went to cancel that. It was a changeable but not fully refundable because the fully refundable is really expensive. And I kind of knew it was restrictive, but man, I found out how restrictive it was here. Basically, what I found out is when you cancel it, here's a chat from the chat rep. First of all, it expires a year after you booked it. So I have to reuse this credit. Basically, a credit stays within your Amex travel account for 1 year. So I have to use $256 by January 12th of next year. And the travel must be completed before the ticket expires, not just the purchase, but the travel itself. And not only that, but it has to be specifically for me, the same passenger, and the same airline. So I can't transfer it to my wife or a kid. I can't transfer it from American to Delta. This was American business class or first class, domestic first class. It's like, man, that stinks. So I specifically have to fly American Airlines sometime before January 12th, or I just lose $256. So just a thought process there that, maybe it's not really worth it to do travel portal unless you know for sure that you're going to be taking that particular flight with Amex Travel. And then the other thing, this is the slide I showed incorrectly, but now I remember why I put it in this order, is this is also about that same flight. The reason I scheduled just one flight is because I can only get 3 award seats through Alaska. So I've now canceled those, and they redeposited $15,000 for my wife and 2 kids. That's 45,000 points. Unfortunately, I do lose out on the partner booking fee, which was $12.50 each. So I think that comes to $37.50. And I see up here in the corner, it says my miles available at 317,000. If you're wondering about Alaska, I have not yet decided if I'm going to transfer the rest of my wife's points from American Express to Hawaiian to Alaska yet or not. I know I have to decide on that by the end of this month. I really apologize, guys. I don't know if you can hear the lawnmower or not, but it's super distracting to me. I'm going to look out the window real quick and see if I can make any adjustments. Please stay tuned. Okay, well, he's gone now. I don't know if there's kind of like this really long, skinny strip of grass across the street from my house. It's a city-owned strip of land, like a frontage area. So it's possible he'll come back. Let me catch up on comments here. Where were we? Rupert says, under camps with Hyatt, I'm looking into booking one. Oh, what's the name of the camping with Hilton? That's the one I'm trying to think of. Ian says, dang, I missed 30 minutes. My apologies. Not quite. I didn't start until 9:40, so you only missed about 20 minutes. D Green says, speaking of Amex, I know in past lives you kept a running list of businesses that don't accept Amex. I found out recently that Progressive doesn't. I had 20% Amex offer I wasn't able to redeem. Oh, Lawnmower Man's coming back. I'm so sorry, people. It's my new neighbor, not the house across the street. I just got a new neighbor that moved in. I'm gonna have to tell him, hey, buddy, you can't mow the lawn at 9:30 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. Here's 1,000 Dugroz points for not doing that. I appreciate it. Anyway, D Green, yeah, sorry, Progressive doesn't take Amex. That's kind of weird. Travel Points Family says there was an Amex offer for a company that didn't take Amex. I'm not following that one there. I suppose it could be just like a portal type thing where, as long as you click through, you can pay with some other card. RemGB said, I added a comment in your community post regarding ink strategy. Hopefully that will help you in the future. I saw that. We'll get to that towards the end. Travel Points Family says, I couldn't hear the mower anyway. You're fine. Thank you. Appreciate that. I just watched, I think, my first ever video on your channel this morning, Travel Points Family. Thanks for hopping on board. Maybe you got here because you saw my comment. Yuri G said, regarding Alaska, I recently purchased Finnair flights with Alaska. Then I decided to book directly with Finnair, canceled Alaska, and they said they'd refund only tax, but not the $12.50. Yes, that's the exact same situation that I had. But it was within 24 hours, and they refunded the $12.50 also. Well, yeah, if it's within 12 hours, I think they have to. Within 24 hours, I think they have to. Luke Johnson says, I do not hear the lawnmower. That's good. Ron Burns says, use some earbuds so you can't hear it. We can't hear it. Great. Yuri doesn't hear it. Engineer doesn't hear it. Super. So it's just a distraction for me then. Yuri says eBay doesn't take Amex, but they do via PayPal. Mojo's on board. Good morning. And D Green says it was an offer for insurance bills, not Progressive specifically. Oh, okay. Now that makes more sense. Hey, we're already up to 59 people on board. Please keep on clicking that like button, people. I would really appreciate that. This is completely random and has nothing to do with anything in the world of points and miles, but here is a thumbnail of a channel on YouTube called Shadiversity, and he does like medieval things like food and weapons and stuff. And I've been told by more than one person that this guy looks like me. So I think he's my Scottish doppelganger. If you think that too, let me know. Although I don't have a goatee anymore. There was one thumbnail in particular. One time my wife saw it and she said something like, why'd you take such a dumb picture? And I had to explain to her, that's not me. She's like, oh. And then she looked more closely and figured it out. But that's how much of a doppelganger apparently we were at one point in history. I don't know so much anymore. Chase now allows self-service moving credit line from one card to another. So you know how like if you have 10,000 credit limit on one card and 5 on another, you want to move 2,000 from the 10 to the 5. You used to always have to send a secure message or call. Now you can do it online. And I just wanted to provide a few data points about that I experimented with. So I went on to my online login and I looked at my business cards first. Pull up any card, doesn't matter which one, and go to the More button and then go down to here where it says Move Credit Line. Right there, Move Credit Line. And then it'll bring you to a screen that looks kind of like this right here. And it shows you the cards that are available to move credit to. Now, this is kind of weird because I actually have 3 different business cards. I have the Ink Unlimited showing here, the IHG card showing here, and then a third card in Ink Cash. But for some reason, it didn't give me the option to move funds to the Ink Cash. And to be even more specific, it only gave me the option to move funds from the Ink Cash. So it was a one-way thing. I can go from the Ink Cash to either of the other 2, but I can't go from the other 2 to the Ink Cash, nor to the other 2 from each other. I don't know if it has something to do with like this $10,000 credit limit. That's the maximum. I read through some of the comments in Doctor of Credit, and there seems to be no obvious pattern. So all we can figure out is it's some sort of algorithmic thing where there's an algorithm of what's allowed and what's not. Again, I showed you the Ink Unlimited. This is the IHG card just showing it will only let me move money over from the Ink Cash. Don't know why. When I hovered over the button that was on there down here at the bottom, it says what to consider when moving credit. I hovered over that button to see, or maybe I clicked on it, I don't remember, to see what would show. And it gave me this disclaimer right here. Current balances and other card criteria determine the amount of credit you can move. Also something about spending promotions. But basically, other card criteria means we can take into consideration anything we want. So if you need to move credit around within your Chase portfolio, go ahead and look at this. But if it doesn't give you the options you want, you might have to call or go online. Same thing on my personal side. Now, all of my cards were available. There's an Aeroplan card further down. It just got cut off. On this one, any of them were available to add credit to, and any of them were available to send from. So I'm not sure why, but it was different amounts. Like it won't let my Sapphire card go over 14,600 for some reason, which is oddly specific. It won't let my Freedom Flex go over 6,500 for some reason, which again is oddly specific, but it is what it is. Let's see what people have to say on the subject or other subjects. Yuri BSU says, excuse me, Yuri SBU, I'm sorry, says, Scottish brother from another mother? Maybe. QC Man says, I look more like George Clooney now. Oh, do I really? Thank you. Yuri says, I tried this new capability, but there are some restrictions. You can't move from all the cards. Then I called and moved from the card I wanted. Shad Kerr says, I wasn't able to do this with my unlimited at all. I'm thinking it's because it's a newer card. Yeah, it does say if the card is less than 12 months old, you can't do it online. Shad, are you the Shad that's my doppelganger from Scotland? Shadiversity. Gentleman Explorer says, is Ink Cash set up via EIN and the remainder biz cards are via SS Sole Prop? Oh, good question. I should have mentioned that. No, I have only used Sole Prop so far. So everything is under my personal social. Andrew Beach says, I understand you can only trade credit limits on Chase after you've held the card for a year. Yep, that's my understanding as well. And Yuri G says, 4,500 is just an amount you have available to use. So yeah, it picks an amount based on whatever behind the scenes factors there are, but apparently the phone and chat reps have the ability to override that. Sorry, I got a little piece of ice in my mouth, so I decided to chew it. Next Dugroz data point here, and this is one I've already hinted at a few times or talked about a few times. Choice privileges. You can buy choice privilege points with 30% off. You've got until June 20th, which is right around the corner, 6 days away. I'm still debating this. I'm not sure what to do. I feel like there's some epic value out there, and I'll get to an example of that during the theme of the day. Let me know if you have advice, if you think I should buy choice points or not. It comes out to 0.721 cents per point, and I have valued them at an average of 1.25. That's with some mild cherry picking, of course, not the reasonable redemption value. But yeah, I feel like I should, but I also don't want to commit the money because I don't have one specific redemption I'm planning on doing. So let me know what you think about choice points and what I should and should not be buying. 62 people on board. Please keep on hitting thumbs up. I mentioned last week that I had seen somewhere there were Walmart gift cards for sale. Excuse me. Good job, Doug. Burp and then hit the mute button. My apologies, folks. It is the Mr. Roz episode. I had seen that there were Walmart gift cards available somewhere other than Walmart, and someone put in the comments, check CVS Pharmacy. So I was at CVS for a different reason, and I took a look, and sure enough, there they are right there. Walmart gift cards for sale at CVS Pharmacy. Does it say how much you can add? It doesn't, or if it does, it's behind the tag. But Target, Walmart, Home Depot can all be purchased at CVS now, at least my CVS. So there is a play there. I don't know how big of a deal it is over using a 2X Everywhere card, but since most Walmarts don't have tap to pay, mine does not, and we use the online anyway. You could just use 2X Everywhere, and usually Walmart is my I put it on whatever card I'm working on, a sign-up bonus for, or a 0% play or something like that. But you could go to CVS and use your Altitude Reserve, use your Freedom Flex to get 3X, something like that. Load that to your Walmart account online, then use that for online shopping. So that is an option. And it even looks like there's some sort of 20% extra bucks here. Oh, that's Macy's. Yeah, who wants that? So yeah, that was just an interesting observation here. Let's see what people have to say on the matter. QC Man says, I'm able to move or add my Chase card that's only a few months old, but not my older ink cash. Who knows how Chase is making these determinations? Yuri's seen them at CVS also, the Walmart cards, so I think it's up to $200. Andrew adds that at Rakuten you can get 2% cash back for Choice points. If you happen to have one of the Choice cards, you also get 10x Choice points on the purchase itself, is my understanding. Well, I think it depends whether you have the annual fee card or the no annual fee card. I have wondered, actually, since Choice points are through points.com, and every point purchase I've ever done, although I've never done Choice, I've done Wyndham and I've done Hilton, and I've done IHG, they all code as points.com, not as Choice. So I wonder if I got a Choice card and bought points through points.com other than Choice, would I still get 10x? For example, if I had the Choice card and I bought Hilton points, would I earn 10 Choice points per dollar on every Hilton point that I bought? Is the system smart enough to differentiate? Inquiring minds want to know. Let me know if you have any inside knowledge on that. Rodrigo says, I tried looking around to see if it made sense to buy Choice points for my use situation. The best redemption I could get was between 1.2 and 1.4. That sounds reasonable. Clairvoyant says, I missed it. Why aren't we using PayPal debit for Walmart again? Do you mean we as in Dugroz or we generally? I was not using it because I was doing a 0% play at Walmart. That's why I was not using the PayPal debit card. I just saw a data point from Reddit or Matt Clausen or someone, or maybe Matt Clausen linking to Reddit, that Walmart is going away for the PayPal debit card. Some people are losing it already. There seems to be some inconsistency. I think it codes as 5% grocery at Walmart. Yeah, that's those data points I'm saying it's going away. Yuri says, it's true with the Choice card you get it, but now with IHG, but now there's an option of Google/Apple Pay, and I used the Altitude Reserve and got 3x. I've gotten that on Wyndham also. Andrew says, be the data point you want to see, Dugroz. Maybe I will. New Again says, good morning, all. We don't gift cards? Gross. Maybe I should come back. To each their own. Some people really like knowing about it. All right, let's keep moving on here with these various data points. We're making good progress here. Let me make sure I didn't cut anything off. The next Dugroz data point is speaking of the Altitude Reserve. Remember when I went to Washington State, I had to pay tolls. So I put them on my Altitude Reserve, hoping it would trigger real-time rewards. And I was hoping that it would also code as travel. Well, here is the transaction detail, platepass.com. It always says manually entered, even though it's clearly not manually entered. I don't know why it says that. But when it came to the coding, the merchant category was listed as travel, but for some reason it did not trigger real-time rewards. I have the threshold for everything I can control set at $10, so it should have triggered. And then not only did it not trigger real-time rewards, I only earned 1 point. So yeah, I guess moral of the story is if you have the altitude reserve, don't use plate pass with it because you're not going to get anything good. It's just going to be a plain old point per dollar. So there, I was the data point that I wanted to see, Andrew, but in this particular case, it didn't work out. Clairvoyant says, I guess the AAA Daily Advantage is back in play. Yuri says, when you buy points, they have a pull-down menu where you can choose choice or IHG card. Oh, okay. And then do you think it's enforced strictly? David Williams said, I booked 2 cheap Marriott nights for $200 to get 2 35K free night certs. Deal was expiring, so Marriott Barstow, LOL. I don't know what the Barstow part means, but awesome. That's a good way to do a mattress run. Chad Pennycuff says, gift card hacks are the bomb. Myers, my go-to jam for discounted gift cards. They code as grocery. QC Man says, I knew the PayPal card would get nerfed, but that was quicker than I thought. Figured it would start next year. New Again says, PayPal debit is not nerfed, though. Walmart is being Walmart, so it's a Walmart thing. It's still a functional devaluation for all of us. Yuri says, there's a bug on the US app which shows points incorrectly, but on the website, it's all correct. Okay, I'll have to log into the website and look. I knew about the bug. In fact, are there any of those bugs in this picture? I brought that up with Stan the Credit Frog and Chad Pennycuff not too long ago. Now you can't see any here. Well, yeah, here, Casey's, it says I got 4 points instead of 3. So there's a mistake right there. I obviously didn't earn 4 points somehow. No, it says earning rate 1 plus 4. But I know I would not have used it at Casey's unless it was tap to pay. So there's a mistake in the way it's displaying. My understanding is you're getting the right amount, it's just displaying wrong. So I'll have to go on there. Clairvoyant says, I have the same problem with my Express toll pass and my USBR not counting charges there as travel. New Again says, there's other places to shop beside Walmart unless you live in one of the little towns. I'm not sure if you mean I should shop elsewhere or I can go buy a gift card elsewhere. If you know of a place where I can get a better play, let me know. I mean, we have 3 or 4 grocery stores in town, but Walmart's the best on price. Hate to say it. Clairvoyant says, PayPal just started doing mainstream commercials. Oh, that's cool. Hey, we're up to 72 people. Keep smashing the thumbs up button. Here's a data point that you guys already know about, but I just want to keep on preaching it. There's a 20% transfer bonus to Air Canada Aeroplan from Chase, and you can stack it with the cardholder bonus. So if, like me, you are a cardholder, you'll actually get a 30% transfer bonus. I did this from my wife's Chase account. I need to go in and do it on my account sometime in I've got a while. I've got until July 17th to figure out how many points I need, and I will be doing that in the near future. There's a corollary to this data point from friend of the channel, Ron B., who sent me this on Discord earlier today. He is going to England also at some point in the not too distant future and booked some train travel for his family while there. And both Rail Card, which is one of the rail lines run by the government there in the United Kingdom, as well as LNER, both coded as travel. Therefore, both of them would be eligible for pay yourself back on the Aeroplan card. So there's a great practical example of the boom, pay yourself back, functionally 1.625 when you take the transfer bonus and the bump up into consideration. Whoa, we got another donation here. Kevin P drops a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Kevin. Celebrate. I really appreciate that. Says, applied for Amex Platinum but was in pop-up jail. Called and told I wasn't eligible because I recently received a sub on the gold card for 100K. And now I'm ineligible for future platinum sub, though I've never had the card. I wonder if you got a customer service rep who didn't know what was going on there, because my understanding is with family language, as long as you go in the order of littlest to biggest, so green, gold, platinum, you should still be able to get platinum in the future. So pop-up jail, I mean, who knows about that? But I have a feeling that representative didn't know what they're doing, although it's a data point worth tucking away, because if that is a thing, if family language has become even more restrictive where you can't just climb the ladder, it's just you get one ever, boy, that would stink, because I'm keeping my Amex personal charge card options alive. I've not gotten any of the 3 yet, so I sure hope that's not a trend. But thanks for the data point, Kevin, and thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that. Clairvoyant says PayPal just started doing mainstream commercials. Oops, I already read that. Chad says Chase Sapphire preferred at 2x, CIP, Chase Inc. preferred 3x, or CSR 3x travel for tolls. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. I still have the CSR as of now. My wife has the CIP. QC Man says to Yuri G, yeah, I had a few US Bank purchases display 2x points, which isn't even a category, but the points were correct, so no harm, no foul. Kevin is wondering the exact same thing I am. I'm wondering if the rep gave me bad info or if this is a new thing. Clairvoyant says Will Ferrell's advertising their 5% cashback debit card. Oh, yes, I've seen the PayPal commercials with Will Ferrell. They're really annoying. I want to tap to pay forever, where he's dancing around. And, of course, he makes it sound like the more money you spend, the richer you will get, because that's how it works, right? I want to pay with you everywhere. It's so terrible. Yuri G says, I'm still waiting for Aeroplan approval. I applied right after I was approved for Boundless, then called Recon and asked to move some credit line after discovering online from which card I can move. Good luck, Yuri. I hope you get on the Aeroplan train, caravan, Aeroplan caravan. There we go. Write that down. Write that down. I need to use that as a title of a video. Patent pending, patent pending. Aeroplan caravan. Plan van. They rhyme. David says, I was wondering if Amtrak would work with Aeroplan. I would say with a very high degree of certainty that it will, but I can't personally say I've done it. I have done Aeroplan on my altitude reserve with Amtrak. No, I said that wrong. I've done Amtrak on my altitude reserve, and it worked just fine. QC Man says, I'm actually a Costco guy, and so far PayPal still code's fine there. I'm just skeptical it'll last past a year, but obviously I hope I'm wrong. Me as well. Jacob W is on board, says, hi, Dugroz. Hi, Jacob. And One Key now allows partial point redemptions on flights as long as the flight allows you to use points. That's good to know. So if I'm using up some of those One Key points my wife earned in the past, that's a good way to use it. And I see in your profile picture you're wearing a bandana thing around your neck. So you're going to love the theme of the day today. Couple personal data points here, thanking all of you. Every now and then, for no apparent reason, my YouTube app will do a community spotlight where it just decides to feature something. This week's spotlight was all-time comments, like comments ever. Not necessarily the records up here, just these are how many comments these people have left. Filmo's left 172. Doc has left 90. Catch 36, 31, 20. Source King 3. Sean D 82. And then there's a separate screen for everyone else. Now, these are the rankings in order. All-time, lifetime comments. Who do you think number one is? It's Jimmy James. Great info plus video. I really appreciate it. Then we've got Cesar Joel at 211, Flying Ryan at 191. This is where Filmo at his 170-something would slot in, but he was in the spotlight for an unknown reason. And then Ian at 140, John R. at 130, Chad Pennycuff at 120. I'm sure whoever was at 119, I apologize, that's as far as the app would let me look. So those are lifetime comments on my videos. I don't know if it includes lives or not. I speculate it doesn't. Well, probably does, because I think like Chad only comments on my lives. I don't think he comments on my videos up to 120. So this probably includes live. So if you want to make the list, you need to start commenting more. No, seriously, I appreciate any comment, whether you give 1 or 200. Where were we? New Again says Filmo missed his moment of fame. Filmo's been absent from a lot of the lives recently. I hope he's doing okay. Chad needs to step it up. Well, if you want to make the top 3 or whatever it was. And then, hey, this is big news on the personal front. Just this past week, I cleared 2,500 subscribers. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, everyone. Up to a cool 210,000. So here's to 3,000. And then last Dugroz data point here. No, actually, that's the end of the Dugroz data points because I have to be done by 10:45 and it's 10:30. So just enough time to get into what I need to get into. The theme of the day today is Mr. Roz's favorite redemptions. So let's go ahead and make our transition right now. put this guy in presentation mode. And here we go. The theme of the day today, Mr. Roz's 5 favorite redemptions. There we've got a picture of Mr. Roz. Who? Well, if you're not a member or haven't been watching for more than about 6 months, you might not know what I'm referencing, but I've done a video in the past, a members only video, and I've referenced it a few times. I am simultaneously highbrow and lowbrow with very little in between. So there's 2 different personalities living inside me when it comes to travel. Dr. Doog is one of my personalities, and he is like Dr. Jekyll. He is an upstanding member of the community. He likes flying first class. He likes staying at the Salamander Resort just outside of Washington, D.C., where it's very posh and you get mints on your pillow and just the finer things. And then the other personality, my Mr. Hyde, except not being homicidal, is Mr. Roz. Mr. Roz is kind of a backwater guy. He grew up in Ottumwa, Iowa, which is a river town, a factory town, really close to the poverty line, and probably seen better days. Easily impressed with technology. You can take the boy out of Ottumwa, but you can't take Ottumwa out of the boy. Mr. Roz likes things like driving around and looking at waterfalls. He is super impressed with a free cookie or carton of milk, and it just doesn't take a whole lot to impress him. He likes saving money because, let's face it, Mr. Roz doesn't have a whole lot of discretionary income, and even if he did, he's not going to blow it on a $300 massage. So let's go ahead and dive in now to the 5 favorite redemptions of Mr. Roz. I asked AI to generate 2 rednecks fighting over a stick for me, and that's what it came up with. Please don't take this too seriously, folks. This is just for fun. I didn't put a truckload of thought in it, but there are certainly nuggets of truth in this. All right, number 5, Mr. Roz's favorite redemptions. Renting a car with the altitude reserve from U.S. Bank. If you're going to drive around and look at things like presidential graves, like Mr. Roz is doing here, the grave of Martin Van Buren in Kinderhook, New York, very rural area. Sometimes you just need a rental car. Why U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve? Well, you get 3x on mobile wallet. You get 3x on travel. So when you present it for the rental car itself, you're double dipping. Not only do you get the redemption, you earn 3x points on the car itself. It has the real-time rewards where it sends you a message and asks you if you want to use your points for this redemption at 1.5x, and you just respond, and boom, your 3x functionally becomes the cashback equivalent of 4.5% cashback. It also comes with primary collision damage rate waiver, so if you're looking out the window and you see a really nice-looking barn or silo and it distracts you and you run into a telephone pole, you don't have to worry about filing a claim with your own insurance. You can just rely on the primary collision damage waiver. Now, I do apologize. The altitude reserve is closed to new applicants. So if you haven't actually already got it, you can't get it now. I apologize. QC Man notes the 2 guys on the previous screen were sophisticated looking rednecks. That's what I thought. Like they have on collared polos. What's the deal with that? Rex acknowledges this is a comment. Thanks, Rex. And 2,500 subscribers. Quality Control Man is celebrating. Ian says, let's go. I'm finally good at something. Making lots of comments. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. Thank you to all of you who helped me get over 2,500. So renting a car, that was why the altitude reserve, but why rental cars? Well, that way you're not beholden to transportation. So you might think, when I travel somewhere, I like to use Uber, Lyft, buses, subways, ferries, that kind of thing. But you know what? Those things all have a schedule or a wait. Even Uber and Lyft, you're going to have to wait until one's available, which might be 30 seconds, it might be 30 minutes. If you got a rental car, you just walk out to the parking lot. And if you want to leave at 6:15 in the morning, you can. If you want to leave at 12:07, you can do that. You just leave when you want to leave. Rural or out of the way places become possible. So yeah, London, New York City, Washington, D.C., they have great infrastructure. buses, subways, Ubers. But you know who doesn't? Thomas, West Virginia does not. Kinderhook, New York does not. So if you want to go to a national monument that's out in the middle of the desert, or you want to go to a dairy farm in West Virginia, you're going to have to rent a car. Assuming you've flown there, you got to take your own car. But if you've flown, you're going to have to rent a car. There's no other option. Excuse me, got to blow my nose. Waterfalls would be an example. Monuments would be an example. Presidential graves would be an example. Sometimes these are just out in the middle of nowhere, and you don't always have control over where they are. Yuri says the only problem with the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve is excluding Israel, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Jamaica from collision damage waiver. I agree with you, Yuri. I really want to go to Northern Ireland someday, so that could be problematic. Well, I want to go to both Irelands, the Republic thereof, and Northern Ireland. So I'd have to make some sort of other arrangement in that case. But the waterfall in West Virginia, the president's grave in upstate New York, we're good there. Whoa, looky here. Mike Newland has again gifted 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. I can't thank you enough, Mike. Celebrate. Wow. I can tell you there have been some financial strains on my family recently, so that will definitely come in handy, and I appreciate it so much. I've said before that, I like super chats and keep doing them by all means. In some ways, channel membership donations are better because people might keep them. If even 5% of people keep them beyond a month, that's more income. David says, with primary collision damage waiver, don't they charge your card for the damages and then it takes forever to get reimbursed? I've never actually had a claim, so I don't know the answer to that. QC Man says, if you're not an Irish Jamaican Jew, it's not too bad, Yuri G. I'll just let that comment sit right there. Thank you so much, Quality Control. Number 4, boat rides, paying yourself back with the Aeroplan card. So why Aeroplan? Well, it's because it codes as travel, or if it codes as travel, you pay yourself back at 1.25 cents per point. We saw Ron's example with trains in the United Kingdom earlier. Now, if you get the 1.2 transfer bonus, you have the card, so you get the 1.1 modifier, and then you pay yourself back at 1.25. On the net, you're basically indirectly cashing out your chase points for travel at 1.625 cents per point. There's no other way to pay for miscellaneous travel at better than 1 cent per point, or very few. Now, just to clarify, I'm not saying earn on miscellaneous travel. I know Amex Green, CSR, for now, Aeroplan, you can earn better, but in terms of actually redeeming it better than 1 cent per point for miscellaneous things like boats and ferries, there aren't very many. Let me know if you know of a strategy other than, of course, the aforementioned Altitude Reserve and Aeroplan. So I mentioned the Aeroplan card. Why boat rides? Well, there's a few reasons. It's fun and relaxing to take a boat ride. It's over the water, and water is cool and refreshing. Mrs. Roz likes boat rides. She likes wide open spaces like lakes and oceans, so nothing like accruing a few wife points. It's usually not too expensive. For example, the bottom right is a boat in Sweden, and for the entire family, it was just a little over $100. So like $25 per person, a little more than that, maybe $30-ish per person. Not too bad. This boat I took out to a Civil War fort down in Pensacola was like $30. America. What better way to be American? We see the flag flowing here. So this is in Pensacola, Florida. That's part of America, right on the Gulf of America. Up here is the Great Lakes in Lake Superior, north ends of Wisconsin, the Apostle Islands, or Sweden, as in the bottom right picture. So lots of good reasons to take a boat ride. Tiger Maple says, W, I agree. Yuri says, I'm using Chase or City cards when renting in Israel. They don't exclude any countries. Good idea. Craig says, nothing more dangerous than a redneck with some credit card points. Trust me, I am from and live in Mississippi. I'm biased, but we are a very underrated state. I'll have to try Mississippi. I bet down on the Gulf Coast, it's pretty amazing. There's probably even some hidden gems further too. Have I done my UR to Aeroplan transfer during this bonus period as of yet, Doug? I've done it with my wife's card, but not mine yet. QC Man likes America. Mr. Roz does too. Next, number 3, hotel food, paying yourself back with the Aeroplan card. I know this is the same card twice in a row. Like I said, don't take it too seriously. Why Aeroplan? Well, if it codes as travel, and hotels do, you still get to pay yourself back at 1.25 cents per point. And as we saw in the previous slide, using that transfer bonus strategically, 1.625 on your lunch or supper at the hotel. There's no other way to pay for food with points, generally, and certainly not a way at better than 1.625 cents per point. If you know of one, please tell me. Now, Mr. Roz always wants travel to pay for itself, so he's going to use either Aeroplan, USBAR, cash out points, rely on bank account bonuses. He's not going to dip into the family budget because let's face it, there ain't much of a family budget for Mr. Roz to pay for travel. Why hotel food? Well, there's a couple reasons. Food tastes good. Free food tastes even better. In the pictures here, the top right was when I was at a Crown Plaza in Albany, New York. That's my breakfast, which was not free, but I was able to bill it to the front desk. And when I checked out, of course, presented my Aeroplan card for payment and got the ranch, got the hollandaise sauce. Wow, that was a delicious omelet. And then this picture here is when we were in New Orleans, speaking of the Deep South, last fall. Joe Barretto and I were both staying at the Hyatt Chentrick and went downstairs. I think it was the last full night I was there and got they call it the pork chop sandwich. And it was really good. It's sort of like a Cuban sandwich, but a little more Midwestern. It's like Cuba meets Iowa. Hotels are convenient. I mean, have your family ever been out walking around someplace all day and then they come back to the hotel and you're like, well, we could tidy up, take showers, and then hop back in an Uber and go to a restaurant or walk to a restaurant. But we're like, oh, I'm tired of walking. Let's just eat in the hotel restaurant. I like the convenience. Oops, I gave away the lead there. Let's check comments and just see what we got here. Okay, I'm still good. I'm going in order here. We talked about that. FC has arrived and drops a $4.99 super chat, or maybe it's a super sticker. It doesn't show up on StreamYard, unfortunately. Celebrate. Thank you, FC. I don't even know if we've met before or talked, but I really appreciate the patronage. Thank you for the 5 spot. Thank you so much. Continuing onwards here. Keep clicking thumbs up. Apparently, Mr. Roz isn't as popular as Dr. Dukes. We've only got 69 people on board. Number 2 is a hotel with a free dinner using choice points. That's interesting. A hotel with free dinner. Why choice points? I'm talking specifically about Scandinavia here. So there's a subdivision of choice that used to be called Nordic choice, and it's in Iceland, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. And maybe like Estonia or Latvia, don't quote me on that. But the choice hotels there fall into that Nordic choice banner, which they rebranded as Strawberry hotels. But Strawberry is still some sort of partnership or affiliation with choice, so you can still book it online. I just checked last night to make sure that's true. Well, first of all, you can transfer 1 to 2 to choice points, either from Wells Fargo or Citi, assuming you have either the Strata Premier or the grandfathered Strata Prestige. So doubling your points is always a good thing. Why choice? Well, I put a few examples over on the right here. This is the exact same hotel that I stayed at in Göteborg, Sweden in 2023. It's called the Hotel Odin. And if you look at the price here, it was 2720 Swedish krona, which you put that in American dollars, that's 287 greenbacks. And it would be 12,000 choice points. So do the math on that one. On the choice side, that comes out to 2.39 cents per point, which is pretty good. But remember, you're transferring 1 to 2 from Citi or Wells Fargo. So on that side, you're earning 4.78 cents per point. Now, it's often hard to get value that is that good on hotels. So this is definitely something of a sweet spot with choice. They're not all that way, but this one is exceptionally good. And if you want to go to Göteborg, Sweden, also known as Gothenburg, depending on whether you want to use the Swedish or English pronunciation, on July 25th, you can get that exact deal. But wait, this was about a free dinner, not just your room. Well, not only do you get the room for 4.78 cents per point, you get your dinner covered. Yes, this restaurant has free breakfast and free evening meal. So we got a great spread. We've got wieners. We've got little potato things. We've got lots of fancy bread and jams. Mr. Roz is very impressed with the meat selection. I mean, look, they just got cheese laying out there. Hopefully those are American cows. You got beef laying out. You got pickles, boiled eggs. You got some sort of loaf of bread there. Even the junior Rozes like it. They gave us free sandwiches one evening because we came in late and they put the buffet away, but the hotel lady said, "Oh, we'll get you something to eat," and brought me out some free sandwiches. So wasn't that nice? Hotel Odin, Göteborg, Sweden. And it's not every choice hotel that does the free evening meal, but it is a very large handful. So go ahead and search one of those out. Jacob says, very much considering the Citi Strata Premier. I have 3 Citi cards. One is the Rewards Plus right now. Won't be much longer. And 2 of them are custom caches. So there might be some switching around in the future. Craig Howard Kirkland's arrived, says, off topic, please talk about why you want the Ritz card. I'm on a bit of a time crunch. I apologize, Craig. Can we save that for another show where I've got my 2 or 3 hours to spare if necessary? I would appreciate it. Rex Bleed says, how about DoorDash gift cards for redemption? I bet Mr. Roz would love that. You could order a cheeseburger from DoorDash. I just didn't think of it. Good suggestion, Rex. And what do you think the number 1 redemption is going to be that Mr. Roz is going to like? Put a comment over here. I'll give you 20 seconds or so. You should know what this is if you've been following my channel for any length of time. So we're thinking about rural areas. We're thinking about places that you probably have to either rent a car or drive your own car to get to. We're talking about places where you can look out the window. We're talking, should be pretty self-explanatory. Do 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 do. Yeah, Mr. Roz is sometimes an international traveler, Jake. Thank you for pointing that out. So Dr. Doog takes the flight, and then when he lands and sees the buffet with the hot dogs and the cheese, he transforms into Mr. Roz. Holiday Inn Express breakfast? No, I better get into it because of the time constraints. Why free dinner? I just gave you all these examples. Why? See example number 3. Number 1, Wyndham business card for Vacasa or cottages. Vacasa is a vacation rental similar to Vrbo. Cottages is just the United Kingdom British equivalent. And so why Wyndham? Well, if you have the Wyndham Earner business card, you get 8x on gas. That's pretty good. Mr. Roz drives a lot of places, so he spends on gas. You also get 5x on utilities, internet, cable, phones. And it's something where we can get outsized value. Not always, but you definitely can get outsized value. Here's an example of the outsized value. Booking a cottage at cottages.com, and this is a partnership of Wyndham, so you have to call up Wyndham to book this. This is one that I actually spotted in Wales. This is not the exact one we're staying at this summer, but it's very similar. It would be £2,104. If you convert it from that British money to the American money, that's $2,713. This cost me 13,500 points per bedroom per night. And it's a 3-bedroom cottage. 4-night stay, that comes out to 162,000 points. And if you do the math, that's 1.67 cents per point. You might think, that's okay. It's not great. But remember, you're earning 8x on that card. So the 8x on gas that you're earning functionally becomes the equivalent of 13.3% CBE. CBE, anytime you see me use that, means cashback equivalent. So that's a pretty easy way to earn points fast that are very practical and easy to use. Now, why Vacasa or cottages? Oh, I think the pictures are going to say it all here. Well, you have fishing. There's me holding up a whopper of a fish that I caught in Wisconsin while staying in a Vacasa. You've got hiking. You've got livestock you can look at. You've got rolling hills. You've got looking at nature. Here's some examples of all those things. So you've got making your wife happy by going and looking at old British churches. You've got a dock on a lake in northern Michigan. There's some livestock as the sheep wander by and scratch their backs on a guy wire. Here's the hiking part where you look over a butte in rural Wisconsin. Here's the Lundy Lodge in Wales where the wife and the sheep pictures originate from, and more lakes in Wisconsin, or maybe that was the UP of Michigan, but we were right on the border, so it doesn't really matter which one. Your youngins just go out, sit on a rock, and enjoy looking at nature on a pond that is formed at the base of a waterfall. Mr. Roz loves that kind of stuff. Cook's kiss, he would say. All right, that's the end of the theme of the day, the top 5 redemptions that Mr. Roz appreciates. Oop, I left that small the whole time. There's the bigger version. If you want to pause it and check out some of those pictures, you sure can. John points out that Mike was coming in huge, and I agree with that. Thank you again, Mike. Chad Punnycuff says, Mr. Roz is probably loving lounges or free snacks. He does like the snacks in the lounge. Yuri says, I'm going to use my Wyndham points on a Vacasa in Belize soon. Awesome, because some of them are going to expire. And Manuel Jimenez says, I've been using my cashback credit cards to buy IHG and Hilton points, and that when they're on sale. Yeah, that's a good strategy too. Mr. Roz would like that strategy. Sometimes you just need a Hampton Inn, like in Wheeling, West Virginia. If you're going to see the bridge there, or if an IHG, you're staying in a town. What was the name of that town? I don't remember. There's a town on the Gulf Coast of Alabama, or almost the Gulf Coast, that has a little place called the Whacked Out Wiener. It's a restaurant. You can go buy hot dogs. They have all sorts of cool, bougie yet redneck toppings and that kind of stuff. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, don't take it too seriously, but the Wyndham one really is one of my favorite redemptions. So thank you for watching, everyone. All right, we've got about 10 minutes to dive into the comments that are out on my community tab. So every Friday, I share a post, and it will have a picture, and you can guess where the picture was taken. You can also ask me anything in the world of cashback, points, miles, etc., etc., etc. So I'll pull up the picture here, and then we'll go through it. It's kind of hard to see because I didn't save it as a picture, so we're going to have to look at it on YouTube. We've got 2 pictures here. There's one. There's the other. Look there's not a trace of gray in that beard, so you can probably realize this was at least 2 or 3 years ago when trying to figure out where this picture was taken. All right, getting to the comments right now. All right, first guess was from Dad on a Mission, and Dad says the senior pictures are on the campus of Iowa State University. That's a really good guess, but no, it does look like I was trying to take a senior picture there, because normally when you graduate from high school, the thing you want to do is lean up against a tree. RemGB says, one data point for ink applications, always cancel your cards 1 year after a year and give a couple months before reapplying so there's no issue with not using cards or already having used them. That worked for Player 2 with Ink Unlimited last month. The velocity is slower than the ink train used to be last year, but I'm glad to get it approved. Thanks, Rem. I appreciate that. An anonymous person guessed the Dugroz Institute of Advanced Points and Miles Strategies. No, but there should be a place called that. Oh, hey, I just noticed Tom Graber dropped a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Tom. Celebrate. Any little bit helps. Thank you so much. I am eternally grateful. If I ever miss someone doing a super chat or something like that, by all means, please let me know. Travel Point says, thanks for the session. Have a great day. You're welcome. Jacob says, is the City Strata Premier points to cash nerf a big deal? I love the streams during breakfast. I don't think it's a big deal because if you're doing a strategy with Citi, you should already have either a double cash or a custom cash so you can cash out those. So I don't think it's that big of a deal for those of us in the Points and Miles community, but for normal people who would be more inclined to cash out, it probably is a bigger deal. I'm sure it'll be profitable for Citi. Flying Ryan guessed Fort Monroe in Hampton, Virginia, and ding, 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 Ryan is correct. Yes, this is indeed Fort Monroe in Hampton, Virginia, near Newport News. It's sort of like in the Chesapeake Bay. There's the York River, there's the James River, and I don't remember between which of the two it is, but sort of like this peninsula that sticks out into the bay. And there's an old Civil War era, maybe even pre-Civil War era fort there that I believe is still used by the military or some sort of military academy. Those are barracks in the background. That was a really good guess because I couldn't find anyone that took a picture from this exact angle on Google Maps. So well done, Flying Ryan. You are hereby granted 5,000 Dugroz points for your excellent guess. And the only person, as far as I'm aware, that guessed it correctly. Jay Chain says, how would you value Priority Pass? I'll go ahead and take the picture away since we're done with it now. How would you value Priority Pass lounge access and restaurants offered on the Bank of America PRE card? I don't see them offered that often at the domestic U.S. airports I've visited. I'm sorry, Jay Chains. I don't really know how to value it because I've only used it twice. Once was in St. Louis. There was like a St. Louis Blues themed Priority Pass restaurant, and that worked fine. And then I used it in Washington, D.C. at Reagan National. I later learned that airport restaurant went out of business. So you're right. There's not a lot of places that take the restaurant access. I'm going to try it in the United Kingdom this summer. I think there is a Priority Pass restaurant in Manchester or maybe Vienna. It was one of the two, or maybe it was Amsterdam where we have a layover. So we'll try our best to check those out and report back. I am valuing Priority Pass lounges less and less. I can't put a price tag on it right now, but less and less. Like when I went to New Orleans last fall, I was put on a waiting list, and I was on a waiting list for about 45 minutes, never got in. So good question. I'll have to do a whole video on that sometime. Rem, you asked a question about the CSR and locking in the annual fee on your Player 2 card right now. Based on the time constraint, I'm not going to be able to get to that other than I would say, yeah, I think you should go for it. If you want to ask it and get a more detailed answer next time, by all means, feel free to. Ron Byrne guessed that I was at a college on the East Coast. Nope, but I was on the East Coast. Well, I guess it's kind of a college if it's like a military institute. And then follows up with this question. What are your planned Aeroplan pay yourself back expenses on your European vacation? So with the Aeroplan card, I am doing a laundry sandwich. I've got Hilton's on each end, and then the cottages.com cottage in Wales in the middle. So we'll start in York at a Hampton Inn, cottages in the middle, and then end with a Hilton. It's called the Hilton Park in Vienna, Austria. The one at the end, I'm going to use points to pay with because it's in that 0.5 cent neighborhood. Maybe a little better, maybe a little worse, but close enough. And I know I'm not getting outstanding value, but I have the points and I want to use them, not just let them sit there. The Hampton Inn was down around 0.29 cents per point. It was something really bad. So I decided just to pay cash. So we're using the Aeroplan card to pay for that first Hampton Inn. And that's going to take up $1,300. So a lot of that $2,500 bandwidth, but I have my card and my wife's both. Obviously, meals in hotels are going to be a part of that. Public transit like trains, boats, ferries, anything along those lines. I've got the Aeroplan pinged for. And then our rental car when we go to Wales that are in the cabin that Mr. Roz is going to drive around on the wrong side of the road. Those are going to go on the Aeroplan. When you're outside your home country, the Aeroplan offers primary CDW, just like the CSR and CSP do. If you're in your home country, it does not. So Aeroplan is a great card for renting cars and paying yourself back outside your home country, not so much in your home country. So thanks for asking, Ron. And there's probably other random examples I will think of that I'm not thinking of right now. In terms of the location, Jay Chains just guessed that I was at Mississippi State University. It does have kind of a university look to it. There's like a veranda in the background by my head, so I can see why you would think a university in the South. I guess Virginia's kind of the South, so that's not hideously or terribly far off. I haven't seen a comment in about 5 minutes, so is everybody still watching? Do a Rex Bleen style comment. Just say comment or something like that. I would appreciate it so I know that it's working. Sleepy Rod says, do you consider the Chase Ink Train dead given your recent experience? So I did a members only video last week where I applied for a new ink card, called Recon, got denied with a very thorough explanation. And they basically said, well, Doug, you have 3 other ink cards, or not ink, but 3 other business cards, Chase, and you're just not using them that much. So we're not going to give you a new one. It's sort of like in the movie The Princess Bride. You know, he's not dead. He's almost dead. So I consider the ink train to be almost dead. Right now I'm debating, do I go ahead and jump on my Marriott personal card right now, or do I cancel like my IHG card, wait a month, try again based on Yuri's comments? I'm debating that right now. So I would say the ink train is mostly dead, not completely dead. Let me know if you get that reference. I would appreciate it so that I'm not the only one. Time will tell if it becomes completely dead or not. All right, we've got a couple comments here. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, D Green. Thank you, New Again. We're here. Have a good day, and thanks. You're welcome. And then the last comment comes from Jehovah R8F and says, goal, and then a picture of a building and less than 2 hours, bro. Oh, my goal for this live stream is to be under 2 hours. It is. And let's see, I started at 9:30. I'll be done by 11. So yeah, I'm going to keep it under an hour and a half. And that's a good place to end. So we're going to wrap it up right now. And if anybody has one last comment, now's the time. If anybody wants to click thumbs up because you haven't done it yet, now's the time. Check out my Dugroz Reports membership. I have one level. It's called a Dugroz Diehard. It's only $3 a month. You can cancel anytime. I have over 50 members-only videos. So if you're wondering, what are these people talking about? Who's Mr. Roz? What's the recent Chase experience? What's Doug talking about when he says doing an embedded hotel stay? Why did these cool kids seem to know about stuff? They're channel members. So become a channel member, $3 a month. Just go to the join button on any of my videos, and I would appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and look through to make sure I didn't miss any donations here. We'll review those, and then we'll be done. Rex dropped $1.99. Mike Newland gave 20 memberships. That's just as good as a $60 super chat. Thank you so much. John gave $2. Kevin P gave $10. Mike came around and donated another 20 memberships. So now he's up to the equivalent of a $120 donation. Thank you so much, Mike. Makes all the difference in the world. Keeps me going. FC dropped $4.99 and Tom Graber dropped $4.99. Thank you to everyone who donated. Scott asked me about if the ink train being dead, does that change or not change my use of the Aeroplan card? Is it a keeper card? It is a keeper card. I might go from 2 in our household down to 1. Time will tell on that because it will be harder to build up lots and lots of chase points with sign-up bonuses. However, I do play the quarterly rotating category game with my Freedoms and Freedom Flexes very aggressively. In first quarter, I maxed that out on 4 different cards, or nearly maxed it out. Yuri thinks it's not dead because he and his P2 just got 2 inks. Mike Newland thanks us for the live. Have a good day. The same. Rex Blind says, Esta es un comentario. I don't speak much Spanish, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a comment. Cahonia Wheeler says, do you use Alaska Miles? I do. I mentioned that briefly at the very beginning of the video. So if you want to go back and watch that, Kajona, and I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, by all means, please do that. What a great place to end. All right, let's go ahead and send it down. Send it down. Shut her down here. As always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks for watching, everyone.